The Sydney Opera House. It is one of the most iconic and instantly recognizable buildings in the world, and its history is just as fascinating as its design. In this video, we're going to look into this building's past, as well as uncover some of the remarkable feats of engineering that holds this structure together. This is Secrets of the Sails. Hi there, and welcome back to Architecture with Wyatt, the YouTube channel all about architecture. And I'm your host, Wyatt. So I'm going to need you to head on over to Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. In full disclosure, the Sydney Opera House is one of my favorite buildings in the world. Like, look how happy I was when I studied abroad in Australia back in the day. Its design is just so iconic, but we'll get to the design elements later, and first, let's take a look at this building's history. In the mid-1950s, the city of Sydney was determined to build a statement venue for large productions of music and theater. So in 1957, they held an international design competition where they received 232 design entries from different architects from 32 different countries across the globe. And many of these designs were immediately put into the discard pile, including one by little-known Danish architect Jørgen Utzon. His sketches showcased sweeping white roofs designed after the sails of yachts on the Sydney Harbour. This design was pulled from the discard pile and would ultimately go on to win the competition. Now, at the time, Utzon had never seen the site or even been to Australia before. He worked entirely from photographs. This was also his first non-domestic project ever. The site for the building is called Bennelong Point, and back in the day it was a fort, then a streetcar depot, prior to the construction of the Sydney Opera House. Construction on the Opera House began in 1959, and the building was supposed to open in 1963 and was supposed to cost a total of 7 million Australian dollars. But the building didn't open until 1973 and cost more than 102 million Australian dollars. This extra money for the project was raised largely by lotteries. Despite Utzon's office relocating to Sydney in 1963, in 1966 he resigned entirely from the project due to political pushback and these massive cost overruns. He would never return to Australia. Regardless, construction continued on and the building would open in 1973. Now, the relationship was mended long term, as in the early 21st century, his design services were brought back to design some remodels, as well as the Utzon Room, which he designed, which opened in 2004. Utzon would go on to win the highly coveted Pritzker Prize for the design. The Pritzker Prize is architecture's most prestigious award. In 2007, the Sydney Opera House was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well. The site is located by more than 10 million people a year and hosts over 1,800 performances a year. But now that we've covered a brief history of the Sydney Opera House, let's take a look at its iconic design. The Opera House is located, as I mentioned earlier, on Bennelong Point, a peninsula on the south side of Sydney Harbour. The building covers 1.8 hectares or 4.5 acres. The entire structure is supported by a reported 588 concrete piers, which are sunk well below sea level. And in the architecture community, the design style of this building is known as Expressionist design. Its precast concrete roof stands up to 60 meters, or about 198 feet in height, and is supported by precast concrete ribs. Now, the original design of the building did not specify the exact curvature of the roof shells. In 1962, Utzon and engineers realized that the shells could be formed from sections of massive spheres, with a radius of 75 meters, or 247 feet. Utzon claimed that the inspiration for this sphere technique was from when he was peeling an orange. Interestingly enough, this was one of the first construction projects in history to utilize computers to map out its structural support system. The roof shells weigh 161,000 metric tons or 177,000 US tons. curtains. They are supported by 350 kilometers or 217 miles of steel cables. There are a total of 2,194 concrete sections. The sails themselves are covered by over 1 million Swedish antifungal ceramic tiles, which are also self-cleaning. All you need is some rain to hit the roof and those tiles clean themselves. There are also 6,225 square meters or 67,000 square feet of tinted glass windows on the structure. There are 5 different performing halls, 2 restaurants, and a movie theater in the structure. The concert hall seats 2,700 people, while the opera hall holds 1,550 people. Another really cool thing is that the concert hall organ at the Sydney Opera House is the largest mechanical organ in the world, with 10,500 pipes. The building also boasts the largest theater curtains in the world, measuring 93 square meters or about 1,000 square feet in dimension. They were woven in France. Okay, but that's enough specifics about the building. Let's just take a step back and appreciate the iconic beauty from a distance. This is one of the most remarkable structures on the planet, and once again, I said this at the beginning, it's one of my personal favorite buildings in the world. It's one of those structures that you just want to spend time with, whether it's sitting on the steps, going inside to see a production, or taking a behind-the-scenes tour. Whatever it might be, it's just one of those pieces of architecture that you like to spend time with. It's enjoyable to just enjoy its company. And if you haven't been there, I hope that someday you get to enjoy this building's company as well. With that said, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Architecture with Wyatt. Make sure to come back next week for the next video in our series. Thanks again.